I'm sitting in front of you guys right now, and I honestly cannot believe that 12 weeks of the NFL season has come and gone. Honestly, this is always the fastest time of the year. I feel like, this now 18-week season just absolutely flies by. Welcome back to the Mock Draft Guy YouTube channel, everyone. Like I said, 12 weeks has come and gone, so obviously you know what time it is. It is Wednesday or after Wednesday, so it is time for my updated 2023 NFL Mock Draft. Still just one round. I'm definitely going to expand to 2, maybe 3 rounds, maybe in the next couple weeks, as the draft order takes even more shape. Like, I honestly don't think that we're going to see Houston stray away from the first overall pick. Once some of these picks are really sort of kind of set in stone, that's when I'm going to be doing my team mock drafts as well. I do a full 7-round team mock draft for every single team in the NFL, all 32 teams. Last year, that's what really made my channel take off. So if you guys are still here from that series last year, I can thank you guys enough for your continued support. If you are new, thank you guys so much for the support. The channel has been just growing exponentially the last couple weeks, and I really, really appreciate every single one of you guys. And big draft news, I don't know if you guys heard, real quick before we start, Ola Fashanu, the consensus for most people, number 1 tackle prospect for the 2023 NFL Draft, actually decided to go back to school for the 2023 season in a little bit of a stunning move, I would probably say. It's not often that you see projected top 10 or top 15 pick decide to go back for another year of college. So, it was definitely interesting. I didn't expect something like that. It makes my job here a lot harder because there's obviously some teams in this top 10 that could use an offensive tackle, but regardless, you got to respect his decision, and you got to believe that going into the 2024 NFL Draft, he will be the number 1 overall tackle prospect. So without further ado, I think we should just hop right into it. Number 1 overall, you have the Houston Texans, and it's not going to change. I'm just letting you guys know now. It's going to be Bryce Young, obviously the best quarterback prospect in the entire draft, in my opinion and many people's opinion. So Bryce Young to the Houston Texans, no doubt. And then really here's where the draft starts, especially with the current draft order that we have. This is a draft order that we haven't seen. We had Chicago the last few weeks really floating around that 6 to 10 area. So seeing them at number 2 really, really changes a lot of things for me. It's one of 2 players here for me. It's either Jalen Carter or Will Anderson Jr., because both are humongous needs for the Chicago Bears. But one trumps the other for me, and that is the 3-tech position for the Chicago Bears. Not only that, I think I'm a little biased. I think Jalen Carter is the best prospect in the entire draft. One of the best prospects I have ever studied in this is going on year 3 of really, really paying attention to the draft. I know that's a pretty small sample size, but he is undoubtedly the best prospect I've ever looked at. I think Jalen Carter is a massive get for the Chicago Bears. And Matt Eberflus, of course, is a defensive-minded coach, so it makes the selection that much sweeter. So I'm going Jalen Carter. Detroit, I know they spent the number 2 overall pick last year on Aiden Hutchinson. Will Anderson is still on the board. It is also a need. There's been little production outside of Aiden Hutchinson for the Detroit Lions. So to me, it just makes sense to have your bookend edge rushers of the future. I'm going Will Anderson here at number 3. Then at number 4, kind of the same deal for Seattle. I mean, you've gotten decent production out of Uchenna Nwosu this year, but really, Darrell Taylor has been a real letdown so far for them as well. I think they need to address the edge position. This is a team that is punching above their weight, in my opinion. All aspects of their team, except for the last 2 games, really, they've slid the last couple games, losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and losing to the Las Vegas Raiders at home, giving up 40 points. It's not easy. They definitely, the cracks in the defense are starting to show slowly but surely a little bit here. They need to get to the quarterback a little bit better. And I just did a player profile on him. If you haven't checked out that series, please do. It is my favorite series that I've ever done on this channel. But I just did a player profile on Myles Murphy this past Friday. And I think that he is, I said it in the video, I'll say it again here. If it wasn't for Jalen Carter and Will Anderson Jr., I think that Myles Murphy would far and away be the best defensive player in this entire draft. So I'm going Myles Murphy here at number 4. Then Carolina, it's crazy that Carolina won and are all the way back at pick number 5, and they still get their quarterback of the future. Got to be C.J. Stroud here. Moving on, Philadelphia at pick number 6. Now, Will Anderson's gone. Myles Murphy is gone. I think when you have guys like Keely Ringo, Jalen Porter, Cam Smith still on the board, you have to address the cornerback position. I've said it time and time again. They have free agents upcoming. They're getting older in the secondary. It's still a strength, but why not make it stronger? But you don't want it to deplete and then make it a strength again. You might as well just make your strength stronger, and getting Kelee Ringo, the best cornerback on the board and in the entire draft, in my opinion, makes too much sense for the Philadelphia Eagles here at number 6. Then moving on, you have the Arizona Cardinals at number 7. A multitude of different ways that they can go. We've addressed this before. I still think, believe it or not, they could use a wide receiver. I'm not going a wide receiver here. They need defensive line. They need offensive line. They need secondary help, and that's where I'm going to go here. I have to go with Joey Porter Jr. here. I mean, a lot of people argue that, I argue too, that Kelee Ringo is the best cornerback prospect, but it's 1A and 1B between him and Joey Porter Jr. He's been exceptional, and Arizona desperately needs some help in a lot of areas, but secondary is one of those premier positions that if there's a premier prospect there, you just got to go and get him, and that's Joey Porter Jr. And then Green Bay at number 8, they get the best wide receiver on the board, in my opinion, Quentin Johnston. Christian Watson has really come alive in the last 3 weeks. I think I saw that in the last 3 weeks, he has like 16 catches for 295 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's unbelievable over a 3-game stretch. But nevertheless, I don't think that kind of production, first off, is sustainable. And then 2, that shouldn't make you shy away from drafting another weapon. Quentin Johnston, 6'4", 215 pounds. He is an NFL wide receiver from day one. So I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston here. Then at number 9, you have the Las Vegas Raiders, and maybe a little bit of a surprise pick here inside the top 10. This is interesting. The Raiders have won the last 2 games. They're now 4-7. They find themselves firmly outside the top 5. So you got to go for those 1B type prospects now. They're not going to get on the defensive line. They aren't going to get the cream of the crop. They're still going to get a great pick here. You know, Brian Breese's here. Tyree Wilson's here. We will get to him in just a second. I could see them going Will Levis here. I don't think there's any conceivable way that Derek Carr remains a Las Vegas Raider after this year. The reason being is he's just too expensive for this team that is cash poor. Same reason why I think Josh McDaniels is going to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders for an extended period of time, just because they don't have the money to actually fire him. They cannot pay him outright. So I think that he's just going to be a casualty of his salary. I believe they could cut him for $5 million or wind up paying him $120 million over the next 3 years. I don't think that is a smart business move. Maybe they cut him. Maybe they rework a contract. Who knows? Will Levis is definitely in play for me here. But I am going to go with Tyree Wilson. I think the line versatility for the Las Vegas Raiders is key. They have been playing better. The defensive line has been playing better. They shut down Kenneth Walker, which was a big thing against Seattle. One game is not going to deter me from the fact that they desperately need not only edge rushing help for the future. Max Crosby is completely fine. Chandler Jones has been a real letdown this year, and he's not getting any younger. And in the middle, they are just terrible. So I think Tyree Wilson, who's someone who's lined up on the edge, who's lined up at outside linebacker, who is lined up at defensive tackle at Texas Tech, that line versatility is a big thing for me here. So I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson here. Then at number 10, you have the Houston Texans. Kind of the same deal. The Houston Texans' run defense has been some of the worst we've ever seen pretty much in NFL history, or close NFL history. I'm going to go with Brian Breese here. I know a lot of people find Brian Breese as a polarizing prospect, and I can't really argue with them, but I feel like a lot of people just look at stats. And you know, Brian Breese, 2.5 sacks this year. I think he's only got like 15 tackles. You know, the stats don't jump off the page at you, but the guy is everything that the Houston Texans need in the middle of their defensive line. And let me ask you a question. Would you rather have Ray Lopez and Malik Collins, or would you rather have Brian Breese in there? So if you answered, I'd rather have Brian Breese, I don't think you could really argue the pick. So it's a necessity for the Houston Texans to upgrade that defensive line. Then you move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I love the offensive tackle prospects that are left on the board right here. But I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go with Jordan Addison here. I think that Trevor Lawrence has really showed us that he's taking a massive step from year 1 to year 2. And I think that you could really credit Doug Peterson with that as well. But the player still has to perform. I believe I don't know if the stats were updated when I looked, but it's something like 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Could even be 19 touchdowns to 6 interceptions at this point. Don't quote me. I looked at the stats yesterday. I don't know if ESPN updated them. He's having a really, really good second year, and he instills confidence in me that they need to give him another weapon. And I think that Jordan Addison is the missing piece to that offense. You have an electric running back in Travis Etienne. He obviously is the franchise quarterback. Their offensive line is okay, not great. This Skoronski, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, Jalen Duncan, all those guys are in play here as well as the right tackle of the future, maybe even left tackle, who knows. But I'm going to go with Addison here. I'm going to go with the weapon. Then moving on, speaking of Paris Johnson, at number 12, the Pittsburgh Steelers desperately need to go offensive line here. It's pretty apparent. I've been pushing this narrative the entire season. I'm going to go with Paris Johnson Jr. here. Then moving on, Detroit with their second first-round pick. Got to go secondary. I know that the defense has played a lot better lately. I know. But you have to think that they are overachieving for the talent that they have on their defense. I know that they're sort of kind of well coached, maybe, but I can't believe that Will Anderson Jr. is a B+, by the way. If you see that right there, that is crazy to me. One of the best players in the draft, a B+. Anyway, crazy. I'm going to go with Cam Smith here. I think that they need another cornerback on the opposite of Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah is finally showing us that he was worth the pick. I don't know if I could say that yet. Having 2/3 of a good season as the third overall pick in your third year. Don't really know if I can say that, but he is showing us signs that he definitely is a great cornerback. But I think that they need someone on the opposite side of him as well. I'm going to go Cam Smith here at number 13. Number 14's got to be Will Levis. I mean, if you guys watch any of that Monday Night Football game, you know that the Indianapolis Colts are just a disaster pretty much everywhere, except for their defense, I guess. But it's just rough. It's rough. Very, very rough. Moving on to number 15, the Atlanta Falcons here. I'm going to go with a pick that I think I've only made once before, and I'm going to stick with it this time. I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson here. I know that they have many, many issues. I know. I have to address the defensive line. Whatever. Bijan Robinson is an incredible talent. And as we've seen before, that the Atlanta Falcons love to run the ball down the throats of the defense, and they don't really have the talent necessarily to continue to keep that up. Cordell Patterson is still a great player. He is getting old. I am not really a big fan of the guys that they have behind them. And regardless if it's Marcus Mariota next year or it's Desmond Ridder, they're going to run the ball. That's an Arthur Smith type offense. They're going to run the ball. They need a bell cow running back. Bijan Robinson is the guy for me. Moving on to number 16, you have the Seattle Seahawks. And pretty simple here. They need to beef up the linebacking core. Trenton Simpson's still here. It's a no-brainer pick for me. Moving on, kind of the same deal with the LA Chargers. They need another wide receiver. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, this has been, I think, the pick for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's got to be the pick here for me. Moving on, another wide receiver comes off the board here at number 18. Same deal. These last 3 picks are pretty much the same deal for the last few weeks. It's got to be Josh Downs. Guy is an electric player with the ball in his hands. And, I got to be honest with you, that Thanksgiving game for the Patriots really instilled a little bit more confidence for me in Mac Jones. I know that the Minnesota Vikings have a soft as baby crap secondary right now, but at the same time, Mac Jones is a guy that's never really wowed us as a passer, and he made some excellent throws in that game. So hats off to Mac Jones there. I think if you get him another weapon, he could definitely be an above-average quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to go Josh Downs here. Then as a result of that, I really wanted to go with a cornerback here. I've been pushing that narrative for a long time that they're not going to be able to pay their cornerbacks, and it might be true, but at the same time, my God, if you look at their defensive line free agents after this year, almost everyone is a free agent. They're going to have to address that defensive end position, and I don't think there's anyone better to address it at this point in the draft than Isaiah Foskey, a guy who has really showed out for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I believe it's 9.5 sacks he has on the season now, 6'5", 265, fits in that 3-4 quite nicely. I love the fit for them here. Then Washington, got to go for the future here. They have free agents in the secondary. They have guys getting older in the secondary. I think they need to address that position right now. And for me, the best player left on the board at that position is Christian Gonzalez. I think that he gives you a boundary, a number one type boundary cornerback right away from day one. Then you have the Baltimore Ravens at pick number 21. Going to go with a little bit of a surprise here. I think they need a wide receiver, and really the only wide receiver that's left for me, besides for those mid-round guys, like I'm thinking of like Raheem Jarrett, guys like that, I'm going with a wide receiver in round one here, and it's going to be Jalen Hyatt, a guy that could blow the top off the defense. If you remember, if Marquise Hollywood Brown probably would have just stayed healthier for longer in Baltimore, I think that he would have been this type of player for them. And he was. He was a blow the top off the defense type of guy. And I think they need that. They desperately miss that. They just can't put games away. And I think it's because they really can't pass the ball. I mean, when you're throwing 60-yard passes to Deshaun Jackson, you need a younger guy that could blow the top off the defense. I'm going Jalen Hyatt here. I don't know. I don't really care if you guys like it or not. And then moving on to my New York Jets here at number 22. And pretty much the same pick here as weeks before. Got to go Broderick Jones here. I mean, they played well. Mike White played excellent. I mean, you could argue they might go Hendon Hooker here if he was healthy, but that's we'll cross that bridge when we come to it later on in the year. The offensive line played well, but I still think you need to address the position. Left tackle is a huge need for the New York Jets. Even right tackle is a big need for the New York Jets. Both tackle positions, pretty much. Broderick Jones is a guy that has line versatility as well, and you know me, I love line versatility. Going Broderick Jones here. And then I know that Peter Skoronski is listed as an offensive tackle. I think his best position at the NFL is on the interior. I think it is guard at the next level, and Cordell Volson just isn't getting the job done for me. Or Cincinnati Bengals fans, mind you. Cincinnati is really turning the tide right now. They're getting Jamar Chase back. They're looking like the Cincinnati Bengals of the Super Bowl run last year. But I think that they desperately need an upgrade. And I know that the last couple of years they've spent mid to higher picks on interior offensive linemen, Jackson Carman as well as Cordell Volson. But I think it's time that you spend a first-round pick on a guy that's well-polished. Yeah, he's got short arms, but he's better than those two guys anyway. So I like Peter Skoronski here to slide into that guard position at the next level. Then moving on, you have the New York Giants here at pick number 24. And I'm going to push the issue again. They got to go with a wide receiver. If you guys watched that Thanksgiving game, the Giants played their brand of football. They played hard-nosed defense. They ran Saquon Barkley down the throat of the Dallas Cowboys. And they played a great first half. In the second half, the Dallas Cowboys forced the New York Giants to throw the ball. And you know what? They lost because they don't have any wide receivers. Kayshon Boutte, a guy who his athleticism, his route running ability is going to get him drafted higher than his statistics indicate. He is one of those guys. And I think Boutte would be a fabulous addition to that New York Giants offense, to Daniel Jones or whoever is throwing the ball to those receivers in 2023. Then you have the Denver Broncos here. Their offensive line is they're a mess in general. Their offensive line is really messy at this point. I know a lot of people are screaming for a tackle. I'm going to give you an offensive lineman. It's not going to be a tackle. It's going to be Osiris Torrance here. And make no mistake about it. Do they need help on the interior? Yeah, I think they need a little bit more help in the tackle position. But Osiris Torrance is a massive human being, and if they wanted to, they can slide him out to play tackle. And I mean, we've seen this before. There are guys that are on the bigger side that play on the interior that slide out and are fabulous additions to the tackle position. Me being a Jet fan, Elijah Vera Tucker, before he got injured this year, slid out to right tackle and was phenomenal in the 3 games that he played right tackle before he got injured. He didn't even let up a pressure in 3 games, and he never played tackle before. It can be done, and Osiris Torrance has the athleticism, and he has the size to play tackle at the next position. I don't think it's that far-fetched, and if not, he's going to be a great guard at the NFL level. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans, Michael Mayer. I mean, it's been the pick for how long? I'm not even going to explain that pick again. Then you have Then you have the Dallas Cowboys at number 27. Going to go Antonio Johnson. I think that they do need help in the secondary, and not just at the cornerback position, the safety position as well. I've said it before. I will say it again. Antonio Johnson brings that versatility in the secondary where he could line up in the slot, could even line up on the boundary. He's got the size, and he's got safety experience as well. Love that versatility to bring someone along opposite Trayvon Diggs. Then At number 28, a new face in my first round here. I'm going Brian Branch. That something is wrong in Buffalo. I don't know if it's Josh Allen's elbow. I don't know if it's the secondary, the safety play, but Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are fantastic, but they are not getting any younger. It's time that you put a young safety in there again to not only break up the snap count for those two guys if you want to extend their career and make a fabulous trio between those three, but he is a playmaker at the next level. You've seen it at Alabama. He is thoroughly taken over Jordan Battle as the best safety in that Alabama secondary. And that's a guy who is a fringe first-round pick last year and could still be a fringe first-round pick this year. But I like Brian Branch a lot in this position. Then Minnesota at number 29. Going to keep pushing the secondary issue. I think that last week I had Emmanuel Forbes here. I'm going to go with Emmanuel Forbes yet again at pick number 29. I think that he is sensational. I think he grabbed another pick. So that's 6 picks now on the season. He's been fantastic, and he's an SEC battle-tested cornerback, and that's really the cream of the crop right there. Going Emmanuel Forbes over Clark Phillips, and Devin Witherspoon is another guy who has been flying up my draft board. I was really considering Devin Witherspoon in this pick here, but Forbes on the board, it just makes too much sense to me. Then you have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 30. And this is a pick that I've made the last couple weeks. Not going to go too much into it. I think edge is seriously in play here at number 30. They got their pick of the litter for the most part. Andre Carter hasn't showed up really that much this year, but teams know about him this year, so he's getting double teamed for the most part. Only has 3 sacks, but he is 6'7", 260 pounds, coming off of a 15.5 sack season. You got B.J. Ojulari, who has 5 sacks this year and has been fantastic. Jared Verse, 7.5 sacks for the Seminoles. Nolan Smith, who is fantastic for the Bulldogs before he got injured, not only as an edge rusher, but as just a playmaker in the backfield. Still going to go with my man Felix Anudike-Uzomah, though. The guy is one of the best edge rushers in all of college football. He is a freak of nature, and he doesn't have that much talent on that defensive line around him, and he still gets the job done. He hasn't had a sack in the last 5 games, but he is making his presence felt, and I think that come draft time, I think he'll be picked even higher than this. And then with the last pick in the first round, you have the Philadelphia Eagles yet again. I'm going to stick with edge, and I'm going to go with Jared Verse here. I think the last few weeks, he's really shown us that he deserves to be in consideration for a first-round pick. I know I've gone B.J. Ojulari here. I think early in the year I had Andre Carter here. Nolan Smith has been a favorite of mine. I think it's time that we give Jared Verse some love. 6'4", 251 pounds, a beautiful replacement for Brandon Graham when the time comes, and Robert Quinn. I love the pick here. And then that's really it. And then, of course, what position haven't we done? I'm going to go to running back here. I'm going to go all the way down to whoever so Jatavarius Whitlow, you are a first-round pick. Oh, we finally got an F. Thank God. All right, so obviously, as you guys know, I'm not being serious. There's only 31 first-round picks this year, but they make me pick 32. So there you guys have it. There is my full updated 2023 NFL mock draft after week 12 of the 2022 NFL season. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. This channel continues to grow, and it's all thanks to you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching. You have a great day.